Hello everyone, Ziggler here, Bork, Chef, you can call me whatever you'd like. So today I wanted to see this video. No Hit Jerome has done a best tank in MoP Classic with someone called Riani Wow. Correct me if I said it wrong, sorry. I haven't really seen him before, might be living under a rock or something. But I'm gonna look into it, and it looks like he's made like very good videos, I mean guides and all of it. So yeah, make sure to follow him and No Hit Jerome as well. But the reason why I really wanted to see this is because he did a healing one like a few days ago, and I typed in that video that I really wanted to see his tank version, because I am a tank like by nature and everything, and I breathe tanking, which is like I've done that since 2007 or something, 2008. So I really wanted to see this one because I'm planning to level up every single tank, including the Warlock tank version with the glyph of demon hunting. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what these two guys have cooked up. So yeah, let's just go. And make sure to follow No Hit Jerome and Riani, I think you call it. Let's go.
Mr. Pandaria Classic, it's almost here, and we all want to know which tanks are going to make our raids go the smoothest, which tanks are going to let us go max damage without worrying about floor POV, and which tanks are going to guarantee us to clear through the raids and all the gold challenge modes too.
Yeah.
To help us answer that question, I brought in resident tank expert Riani.
Riani.
I'm Riani. I am the Wowhead Blood DK Emperor Warrior author. I also do a little bit of the YouTube
Oh
stuff,
really? He's the author?
Wowhead Blood DK Emperor Warrior author.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, then I have read a lot of his guides. Shit, I should have known that. Damn. But he, like, if it's the one that I actually think, and I've then read tons of his guides, it's very good. It's very good.
I also do a little bit of the
I need to
YouTube
follow
stuff,
him
a
more
little bit of
if
the,
he's
Twitch
tanking.
stuff as well.
So Riani, what are a few major factors you're looking for in a tank and MoP?
So in this Pandaria, it becomes very much a case of looking not only of how can you survive, but also how much offensive output can you do? How do you deal with certain big hitting abilities while still being able to self-sustain, and how you do that efficiently?
Yeah.
Every single tank do get some form of active negation, but they are not all created equal.
Let's start our discussion with the new blood of tanking. And we've got to start with my favorite tank, the Brewmaster.
Yes.
So
It is. I can't stress it enough. Like Brewmaster tanking has been my favorite tank out of all of the years of tanking. Like the Mr. Pandaria one. Mwah, mwah, if you know how to play it well, it is insane. And if you go back to like way older on this channel, I actually posted a few like with a shit quality though, because I had a shit PC back then. But you can see that I played it back then. It was so many years ago. It's like 13 years ago or something. Damn, let's go.
I picked up Brewmaster earlier this week.
That is a really good AI, by the way. The UI. Damn, that is a very good UI, I must say.
I've already fallen in love. The rotation just honestly feels way better than any of the other tanks.
Yes.
Really, they have every single tool you need. Your great in 10 mans, 25 mans. What do you think about Brewmaster?
The thing though with the rotation is that I'm planning, and I've tested it, and I'm gonna test it even more. There is a macro that you can use, which makes it so like one button press pretty much is like your shuffle. Like, I'm testing it out, and I think I might get it to work. It might get super simple to play this tank with like a one-button one for one of the rotations.
Brewmaster is definitely in an interesting spot. When the moment you pick it up, you definitely feel like it was designed for another era of World of Warcraft.
Yes, true.
Constant abilities that you're pressing, you have constant AoEs around you, you have a lot of movements, and it really feels good to play.
Yes, and this is also like the time whenever it shifted in a sense, where it started to become like a lot of things, like effects on the floor and in the surroundings, and like abilities coming flying everywhere. This is like, in my opinion, where it all started. It started a little bit in Cataclysm, but now it like whoom, it took off with all the effects and everything.
They do have a little bit of a higher skill ceiling, because if you do not keep up a lot of the active mitigation that you have, if you don't keep up shuffle, if you don't keep up elusive brew, you're gonna be lying down on the floor a lot.
The funny thing is with this ability, you can gear and like, I'm gonna cover this, but there's a way that you can build your tank to be like your Brewmaster, to be like pretty much like as offensive as you can, to do as much damage as you can, and build it towards as much crit as possible, which makes it so that like this elusive brew is gonna be like full stacks all the time. It is insane. It's so fun to play. Like out damaging all the other DPS because of your vengeance on top of it. It's awesome.
Don't keep up elusive brew, you're gonna be lying down on the floor a lot. A good Brewmaster who can utilize their utilities well, who can play around vengeance, who can use their cooldowns properly in order to soak big hits that you might not be supposed to soak, will be a very good addition to your raid, that's for sure.
Yes.
So let's get to the second class in the new blood category, the technically old but new Guardian Druid. So with Guardian Druids, we could talk about how fun and easy they are to play compared to tanks like Brewmasters. Or more negatively, we can talk about the fact that I haven't seen a single Guardian Druid on the beta. But I really want to address the allegations I saw in one of your YouTube shorts that you're going to be maining Guardian Druid.
Oh, cool.
That is certainly allegations. I do not, under any circumstance, will be maining a Guardian Druid in this expansion. I will say that it is not as bad as you might hear me at times espout about the Guardian Druid and how boring they are.
I remember back then that there was not that many Guardian Druids in MoP, in the original MoP either. It mostly was like Warrior, not that many Paladins. Paladin was my first level 90, but it was like so boring to play that I leveled up my Brewmaster as fast as possible because I was a guild leader as well, and I just switched main tank. But yeah, he's correct there.
That being said, looking at the cast that you do as a Guardian Druid might make you feel pretty bad about some of the complexities of the other tanks compared to what you're doing. But if you are someone who prefers a more simple playstyle, then Guardian Druid is certainly for you.
Simple is good. That is like a thing that I've always said whenever it comes to tanking. Make it simple. Like, sure, they are 100% correct with, like, you want to play a tank that deals as much output as possible as well. But it's like, your main objective, in my opinion, has always been, like, keep threat and survive. Sure, it's fun to play tanks and to do as much damage as possible as well. Absolutely. But in my opinion, your main goal is to keep aggro, so the boss or trash or mobs or anything doesn't hit the healers or the DPS. So, like, yeah, just make it simple and keep aware of your surroundings. That's why I make so many, like, one-button macros and trying to make them as easy as possible. To, like, remove yourself from the rotation and try to, like, just look at more of your surroundings. What is going on?
So the next category we've got is the Old Guard. You know these tanks, but how do they shape up in Mists of Pandaria? We've got to start with the Prot Warrior, and I played a Prot Warrior in Mogashen Vaults, and honestly, I was pretty underwhelmed. I really couldn't compete in damage or threat with the Blood DK I was grouped with. Yes, I do really love the high mobility, jumping back and forth on fights like Elegon, the Heroic Leap, the Charge, Intervene. And there's also validity to bringing a Prot Warrior for their really great utility, Skull Banner, the Rallying Cry. But then there's also the problem where you probably already have warriors in your group. They're already bringing those things. So what do you think about Prot Warrior?
I think Prot Warrior is actually a really good spot. They do lack some of the things that Brewmaster and Blood DK would bring in the form of keeping themselves alive, self-sustain, and whatever else. And while their damage is perhaps not the same as a Blood DK, for example, they still bring a lot of invisible damage that you're not seeing attributed to the warrior, but would not be there if they didn't use their skull banners. Of course, you already mentioned all the utility, which I think is fantastic. They have a ton of mobility. The class becomes so much more fluid. Actually, having to think about like when you deal with magical damage, when you deal with physical damage, and when you can dump rage into offensive utility rather than defensive utility, brings some depth to the class that really wasn't there before in Cataclysm.
So we've also got to talk blood decay.
Yeah, the warrior tank was not a tank that I played really. I think I did like level 1 up at the like end in like Siege of Orgrimmar or something. So I don't have that much experience as a warrior tank in Mr. Pandaria, or in Mr. Pandaria. So it's gonna be interesting to play them. But I kind of can see what they mean. Like if they already have a DPS warrior, they will already bring the utilities that their warrior brings, and there's better tanks out there in Mr. Pandaria, I'd say.
Every Mogashun Vaults I've done with a DK, their damage is way up there. And meanwhile, they have insane self-healing, which I think really fits the meta of having the Disc Priest really well. You can leave them in a corner on Stoneguard, and they're not just gonna fall over like my warrior does. Their utility also really carries in some fights.
Yeah.
Elegant with the anti-magic zone in the last phase is a really good example. The one negative, though, I'd say, is that their lack of mobility for challenge modes, if you're trying to push really fast times, is a problem.
Yeah.
Blood decays are a little bit hated at the moment. Not because they're not good, or not because they're bad, but because they are so incredibly strong in Cataclysm.
Yeah.
People want to see the downfall of the Blood Decay.
Yeah.
I am, however, unfortunately here to inform you that that will not happen in Mr. Pandaria. 1 second GCD, no runic power cost on Dancing Rune Weapon, and no GCD on that. Bone Shield with no GCD and no cost. Your pet scaling is...
That, like, I love when abilities come off the GCD, because whenever they do, I can imprint them and like like, what do you say? Like, I can include them in a lot of macros to be like automated whenever you press this ability together with something else. That is something that I love. I can see why people don't like it whenever it shares the global cooldown, and if it does and if it doesn't. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because they have the Void Grasp thing that can pretty much, I think it's like a 1 minute cooldown, and it drags every single mob into the one that you're targeting. It's so good.
Is absolutely whack. You know, if you want to feel like you are the main character, you obviously should play a tank in Mr. Pandaria. But if you want to feel like the ultimate main character, you gotta play the Blood Decay, because it is performing extremely well. And even in challenge modes, they are arguably one of the best tanks. They just do perhaps need a little bit of loving in the movement department, but there are some ways around that. It can certainly perform pretty well in there as well.
So
that's the thing though, in challenge modes. I'm gonna try and get the gold this time. I think I got like bronze and a few silvers back in Mr. Pandaria. But the thing in challenge modes there, he is correct. Like, all of the tanks have different ups and downs, and the DK there, obviously lack of mobility, but the survivability is gonna like add up to it. So it's like a scale on everything. And like a Brewmaster might bring movement speed because of roll and sprint and everything, so it's gonna be like this, and another Paladin could be like this, and loads of different kind of ways.
Also got to talk Prop Paladin, and everybody talks about how awesome Prop Paladin utility is as an off-tank. They've got the two-hand of sacrifice with the Clemency talent, so imagine putting that back-to-back on a tank. It's busted. And you can dual spec to ret whenever you're not needed for tanking, which is great too. But most people also believe Prop Paladin is going to be way better later in MoP with their reliance on haste gear.
They are providing...
Yeah, and what's his name called? Trekkie. He was a member of, he was one of the tanks along with Skull in Method, and he was like last man standing on the heroic, the hardest difficult, I think it's called Mythic, the Mythic Garrosh Hellscream, and he got like, he bubbled and like killed the Garrosh on the hardest difficulty. So yeah, Paladin's gonna be there, but it wasn't my cup of tea, at least not at the beginning, because it feels too much of a off tank, because you bring just utilities by the feel of it, but what I felt back then. So yeah,
insane utility to the raid, especially like you were mentioning with the double sack, but also just raid-wide utility as well.
Yeah.
They do lack in the main tank role because they do not have the amount of stats that they would need to really excel, because we're playing at a 5.4 state of the game.
Yes.
It is true that they are lacking quite a bit in phase 1 because of that scaling in gear. I have a sneaking suspicion that they will catch on later in the phase.
Yeah,
possibly
obviously.
even towards the middle of phase 2, but time will tell.
Now it's time to rank the tanks based on
Ooh.
desirability and raids, challenge
Let's
modes,
see.
damage, utility, mitigation, the whole package. So starting with the Brewmaster, having played one in challenge modes, I really have
S tier
fallen
for
in
me.
love. I feel like they're an S tier. What do you think?
I think they're an absolute S tier when it comes
Yes.
to challenge modes, and that is undisputed. They're for sure going to be the kings of speed clearing challenge modes. So in that regard, yes, absolutely. In raids, however, their raid guard is providing less utility than I thought.
Oh,
Their
really?
healing through the orbs is way lower than we thought it was going to be as well. And their damage, especially on single target, is quite low. They are
Okay.
not more tanky than a lot of the other tanks. So all of those things make me want to put Brewmaster in the A tier instead of the S tier, especially when it comes to raiding.
So then
Okay.
we've got the Prot
okay.
Warrior.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I have to listen to that again. It is quite. That is interesting for him to say.
It is quite low. They are not more tanky than a lot of the other tanks. So all of those things make me want to put Brewmaster in the A tier instead of the S tier,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to raiding.
So then we've got the Prot Warrior, and maybe my bad Mogastrand Volts experience is kind of tainting this, but it feels like, to me, they're closer to like a C tier than
Yeah.
really anything else.
I think that you might have had a little bit of a bad experience in Mogish Vault. In the top tier of play, you will see Prot Warrior brought even in the very first raid tier as a racing pick for the top guilds. They do bring a lot to the table, and I would venture to put them in the low A tier.
Okay, I'm gonna give them the lowest possible A tier, based on my terrible experience.
Absolutely, we'll have to consider that as well for sure.
So talking Guardian Druids, apparently not your main. I was misinformed. I would say B tier, though they do have a very high skill floor, which is definitely good.
Guardian Druid or Who Druid struggles
Who
because
Druid?
they ideally want a main tank. However, the other main tank options are just so much stronger that ideally you don't want to bring a Guardian Druid,
Yeah.
and as such, they have to be relegated to the B tier.
So we've got another one
Okay.
that is going to be very controversial, the Prot Paladin.
Oh, let's
Now,
listen in.
amazing utility, and everybody says by the end of this game, we'll probably have some Prot Paladin tanks in our raids.
Yeah.
But right now, phase 1 at least, feels around that Feral Druid area.
I think it's pretty safe to put Prot Paladin in the B tier. The tank scaling in Mists of Pandaria is much closer than in previous expansions, so even though it's a B tier, it is not that much lower than the other tanks.
All right,
Wait,
now
they
we've got my
switched
nemesis
base.
from the
They
Motion
switched
Vault, the
base.
class that does
What?
So much, probably have
Is
some
it-
Prot Paladin
it-
tanks in our raids.
Are they gonna put the
But
Guardian
right now,
Druid in
phase
front?
1 at least,
Really?
feels around that Feral Druid area.
Oh,
I
never mind. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought I saw the other way around.
I think it's pretty safe.
I thought they were gonna put it. I saw wrong. I thought they put the Guardian Druid in front. I saw it wrong.
Around that
My
Feral
bad.
Druid area.
I think it's pretty safe to put Prot Paladin in the B tier. The tank scaling in Mists of Pandaria is much closer than in previous expansions, so even though it's a B tier, it is not that much lower than the other tanks.
All right, now
S
we've got
tier.
my nemesis from the
They're gonna
Motion
say
Vault,
S
the
tier.
class that does so much more damage, more threat, and
It's
they
gonna be
seem
S
like they
tier.
never die.
People might say that I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's undoubtedly the strongest tank in Mists of
Yeah.
Pandaria.
Okay.
In the first phase, that is. The Bloody K is just smoking every tank out of the water in virtually every aspect of tanking.
That's the thing, though. It feels like all the tank tiers, like the tier list of tanks from all every single time, like from Lich King, really. It feels like at the start of every single expansion, DK is the strongest one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like that in Lich King, Cataclysm, MoP. We're gonna go to Warlords of Draenor. Ugh. Let's play. What is that? The like Farmville or whatever.
All right, so if you had to
But
pick
yeah.
just one tank to main during Mists of Pandaria, I think we already know the answer, but what would it be?
Yeah, it's Guardian Druid. No, I'm of course on the Bloody K train. I've been the Bloody K guy in Cataclysm. They're really, really strong, and they're so fun to play, and the very fast-paced 1 second UCD playstyle is up my wheelhouse.
And if I had to
Nice.
pick a tank myself, it would be Brewmaster.
Oh!
I've fallen in love with the fast-paced rotation. It feels like it comes from a different video game.
Way
for
to
watching
go! Way to go, no, Jerome! Way to go! Nice! You're jumping on the Brewmaster train. Nice, nice. I approve. Bork approved.
His
Nice.
ultimate tank tier list with Riani. Make sure to check his channel out in the top right
Yeah.
and in the description as well for all things tanking in Mists of Pandaria. Smash that like button, subscribe, and like the video. And there's going to be way more MoP content coming very soon.
Yes.
Mists of
Oh,
Pandaria
sorry.
Classic. It's
Make sure to follow both of them. Very good video. I really enjoyed watching that. That was really, really, really good. And keep in mind that if you wanted to see his DPS version, and also I know that he did, yeah, over here he made a healing version as well. So make sure to look at them as well, because he did one with Scotty J and Jordi, or whatever you call it, as a healer. But yeah, make sure to follow them. Click on any videos over here, and I'm gonna greet you there with a video from me from the past. And yeah, make sure to follow them. And until next time, bye bye.